Hello, my name is Paul Marchbanks, and this is Digging in the Dirt, with the second entry in a series on dystopic storytelling. Today, I'll be talking about the tendency for sci-fi writers to conjure dystopias whenever they imagine a technologically advanced future, particularly one dominated by artificial intelligence. I'm convinced that we're living through a crucial moment in human history right now. A pivotal period during which the decisions we make about artificial intelligence will determine not only the way we produce advertising and argumentation, but will shape everything from the fine arts to counseling and romantic relationships. It's not because I'm an expert in computer science. I know nothing about programming. I have thought a bit about human nature, however, and it doesn't take much observation to conclude that any new way computer technologies can be used, they will be used, whether driven by kindness and a commitment to justice, or instead motivated by laziness, greed, vengeance, a God complex, or plain old curiosity. And the changes will be enormous because advances in software engineering tend to make their way into the hands of the public very quickly. Those who think advanced nations have done a poor job curtailing the movement of uranium, weaponized viruses, and child pornography haven't seen anything yet. How do you track the movement of dangerous substances when nefarious players can set software to generating endless false leads backed by plausible but counterfeit visuals with a click of a few buttons? What about the purveyors of child porn who will create lifelike videos indistinguishable from the real thing without violating anyone's rights? Will we still care that such artificial images fetishize the prepubescent and adolescent bodies of those it is literally criminal to engage with sexually? The problems presented by fake news in the last decade will pale compared with the believable lies anyone will soon be able to generate with the right software and a few keystrokes. How are we to trust someone's claims when in the back of our minds we know they could have generated compelling video and oral evidence out of thin air? Other changes will be virtually impossible to regulate, let alone prohibit, because so very many of us will embrace them as progress. How long do you think university administrators and government officials, film studios and book publishers, music companies and religious organizations, architecture firms and transportation designers will resist the temptation to not only use, but rely heavily on software to generate creative content and product designs, given the savings in money and time? As computer programs increase in sophistication, we'll be able to create a short story or a sermon, a new style of dress, or the braking system of next year's car with increasingly less input from ourselves. The new algorithms will generate chunks of relevant information and whole new products with just a few words of direction. The earliest sci-fi writers had a necessarily limited vision of what technology might one day bring. In The Last Man, Mary Shelley imagines that by the year 2073, humanity will be zipping about from place to place using hot air balloons with wings. She imagines government-driven projects capable of eliminating poverty and disease, transportation that can relocate people from one place to another with, quote, the same facility as the Princes Hussein, Ali, and Ahmed in the Arabian Nights, and machines that can, quote, supply with facility every want of the population. Food, her narrator notes, now sprung up, so to say, spontaneously. Now, Shelley doesn't dare try to visualize the mechanisms involved, let alone explain the scientific principles behind such incredible innovations. She leaves it to future writers like H.G. Wells to elaborate a world without disease in The Time Machine, Hanna-Barbera Productions' animated sitcom The Jetsons to describe personalized travel by air, Isaac Asimov to codify the laws of robotics for androids that serve humanity in the story Runaround, and Gene Roddenberry to popularize replicators that instantaneously create any food on request in his Star Trek universe. Ada Byron Lovelace, the brilliant daughter of Shelley's friend Lord Byron, would publish in 1843 the first algorithm to run on Charles Babbage's proposed analytical engine. But even she could not anticipate computers capable of teaching themselves as well as their creators. Even H.G. Wells, writing with the benefit of half a century more of human history and a degree in biology, betrays serious limitations in his imagination. In the novel The Invisible Man, a medical student somehow lowers the refractive index of the human body, including its pigmented hair and blood, to the point that it becomes transparent. Wells explains some of the principles involved, but none of the mechanisms. In The Island of Dr. Moreau, another mad scientist discovers a means of granting human form, language, and self-awareness to both pigs and pumas by way of vivisection, grafting, blood transfusion, and apparently hypnotism. Modern genetic splicing has realized a bit of Wells' vision, but the part about hypnotizing animals so they can speak the English language seems a bit far-fetched. When it comes to self-repairing, self-improving devices, what we would today place under the growing umbrella of artificial intelligence, Wells has got nothing. The narrator of The Time Machine travels 800,000 years into the future and discovers a new branch of Homo sapien, the Eloi, who have forgotten how to work because machines automatically provide them food and clothing. Instead of imagining self-sustaining machines that evolve at a faster rate than humans, however, Wells suggests that another subterranean branch of future humanity, the Morlocks, must service these apparatuses to keep them operational. He believes that there will always be living beings behind the curtain, working the machines from within. If only. Let's come at this from another angle. Those who entered the Star Wars universe through The Phantom Menace often have difficulty understanding why those of us who grew up with the original trilogy as our bread and butter reacted so angrily to Episode 1 back in 1999. Up to that point, the Force had been something mystic, which pointed to the possibility of a deeper reality beneath what Yoda called crude matter, the tangible and measurable dimension of existence. Suddenly, the Force became something reducible and mundane, a power traceable to a simple organism found in all living cells. As Qui-Gon Jinn explains to Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker is strong in the Force because he has a midichlorian count of 20,000. Biology replaced the supernatural, reducing human exceptionality and magic to the quantifiable. For those who believe that chemical reactions and biological imperatives explain the most essential facets of the human condition, and who prefer reducing material events to the interplay of mass density and one of the four physical forces which operate on all objects, Lucas's reconfiguration of that force manipulated by the Jedi may have been quite welcome. For others, like myself, such reductive empiricism appeared sadly consistent with modernity's increasing reliance on numbers as the measure of all things human. I think this privileging of algebraic calculation would also have bothered Lucas's younger self, the 25-year-old director of the film THX 1138. In the dystopic future Lucas envisioned back in 1971, everything has been assigned a number, including the humans who assemble the androids, also numbered, who ironically police the behavior of their own creators. Whenever deviational behavior is captured on video, the culprit receives reconditioning by way of calculated electric shocks applied to numbered parts of the body. Those who fail to pop a prescribed number of pills every day can be arrested for drug evasion, particularly if avoiding one's pharmaceutical regimen leads to sexual intimacy with another person. Released 4 decades after the publication of Thomas Huxley's novel Brave New World and 2 decades before Elizabeth Wurtzel's book Prozac Nation, George Lucas's first feature film provides yet another poignant reminder of the dangers of regulating human emotion and behavior primarily by way of calculated drug dosages, instead of also nurturing dynamic connections with friends and family members whose imperfections and unpredictable behavior regularly will call us out of our heads and into messy relationships where, I would argue, true and lasting personal change is more likely to occur. There's a very disturbing moment early in Lucas's film in which our hero, THX 1138, enters a phone booth-like stall to seek counsel. The session begins with a calming male voice announcing, "My time is yours," to which 1138 responds with the softly muttered mantra, "One for all is one, the masses are what we are." 1138's learned rote words about the masses undercut the computer's promise to attend closely to his individual needs. What does it mean for a machine to give its time to the person seeking assistance? Absolutely nothing. The computer feigns a care it cannot feel and is likely servicing hundreds of other workers at the same time that it provides 1138 with standardized feedback. When 1138 complains that he feels unwell, the computer declares, "I understand," right before prescribing an increase in productivity to maximize happiness. As made clear in other scenes of the movie, the insight of computers in this underground, sanitary, and well-regulated environment is predicated on their measurements of biological processes and their surveillance of observable behavior. Workers' feelings receive only lip service. Well, today's artificial intelligence is at least more realistic, and tomorrow's will be exponentially more so. With computer-generated animated faces that look real, convincingly modulated voices, and a vast storehouse of clinical case studies and psychological theories upon which it can draw, AI counselors offer constant accessibility, tireless attention, and advice synthesized from thousands of published perspectives. But will they really differ that much from Lucas's AI counselor with an unmoving face that resembles an ancient Christian icon and the cache of stock phrases it doles out placidly regardless of the supplicant's emotional state? Will we one day rely on AI counselors for both psychological and spiritual counseling? Will insurance companies push us into the electronic arms of AI to save money? Folk have been receiving advice from chatbots and the like for years already, have developed friendships with AI, and even begun romantic relationships with binary code. I'll have more to say about romance with AI in my next talk. The illusion of genuine care and concern will only grow more convincing in the days to come. Should we fight this trend or give in to what many consider inevitable? I, for one, feel that electronic counsel is one of those things we should actively try to curtail because it will always lack the sacrifice involved in an actual relationship. For one thing, whether one's audience is a paid psychologist or a best friend, the human listener gives of their own limited time when listening to another person's sad story, an affirming gift no computer will ever provide. When two people decide to share pieces of their respective lives, there's always beautiful risk involved. The risk of being misunderstood or betrayed, paired with the possibility of deeper understanding and that intimacy that comes from mutual vulnerability. We also can't try the patience of an electronic listener that can spontaneously generate an unending variation of responses to our repetitive or outrageous complaints. Like a domesticated pet that never tires of our attention, a computer won't demonstrate frustration with our unhealthy thoughts unless we program it to do so. And How many people would actually choose this option over the path of least resistance? How quickly will we begin to believe that real people should be far more patient and forgiving in the face of our maladaptive, unhealthy, even antisocial behavior, given that our computerized companion never seems to tire of our crap? What do you think? Pandora's box has opened and the lid has vanished. Should we even try to construct a new lid?